pear trees are. So this one, this is red. It's really, that Bartlett's are good. We have so much information, we don't know where to begin. So you
sure that we just sing it once, but if you would play it all the way through once. Okay, that sounds great.
It appears that way. Good, how are you? How are the sunsets? Okay. And are you noticing it right now? Are you noticing it right now? I had heard that they were getting more this week. Well,
Makes me want to embrace him. Good morning and welcome to Fountain Street Church. As our summer speaker series continues with our guest Chris Van Antwerp this morning, I want to say thank you to Cliff and Kale and Darius, who's here taking care of the building, and to Todd, and to our special musical guests, Meredith Bradley and Linda Jones, who you'll hear from in a little while. What else do I want to say? Welcome to the people out there in TV land. And let me give you a little invitation. This comes from Earth Prayers, and it's from the Chinook Psalter. Blessing of galaxies, blessing of stars, great stars, small stars, red stars, blue ones. Blessing of nebula, blessing of supernova, planets, satellites, asteroids, comets. Blessing of our sun and moon, blessing of our earth, oceans, rivers, continents, mountain ranges. Blessing of wind and cloud, blessing of rain, fog bank, snowdrift, lightning and thunder. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One above us. Bless the truth of the Holy One beneath us. Bless the love of the Holy One within us. Blessing of green plants, blessing of forests, cedar, Douglas fir, sword fern, salal bush. Blessing of fish and birds, blessing of mammals, salmon, eager, cougar, and mountain goat. May all humankind likewise offer blessing, old woman, young woman, wise men and foolish. Blessing of youthfulness, blessing of children, big boys, big girls, and little ones. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One above us. Bless the truth of the Holy One beneath us. Bless the love of the Holy One within us. We're going to sing Spirit of Life, hymn 123.
Good morning. This is from Maya Angelou. I have been fortunate enough to hear her twice in person, and she has been very significant to me throughout my life. If I think of my life as a class and what I've really learned, I've learned a few things. first. I'm aware that I'm a child of God. It's such an amazing understanding to think that the it which made me made fleas and mountains and rivers and stars. What I pray for is humility. I know that there's something greater than I. And I have to know that the brute, the bigot, the barterer are all children of God, whether they know it or not, and I'm supposed to treat them accordingly. It's hard, and I blow it all the time. I'd like everybody to think of a statement by Terence. The statement is, I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. If you can internalize at least a portion of that, you will never be able to say of a criminal act, oh, I couldn't do that, no matter how heinous the crime. If a human being did it, you have to say, I have all of the components that are in her or in him. I intend to use my energies constructively as opposed to destructively. If you can do that about the negative, just think what you can do about the positive. If a human being dreams a great dream, dares to love somebody, if a human being dares to be a Martin King, or a Mahatma Gandhi, or a Mother Teresa, or Malcolm X, if a human being dares to be bigger than the condition in which she or he was born, it means so can you. And so you can try to stretch yourself so you can internalize, I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. That's one thing I'm learning.
Good morning. I'm really grateful that Chris reached out to me and asked me to sing and let me pick my own songs. Our paths go back way far before Fountain Street. And it's funny how the paths kind of separated. And I remember the Sunday I turned around when I had come to Fountain Street for the first year, and I thought, I think that's Chris and Jill Van Antwerp. So grateful our lives have crossed again. This is what John Denver said, at least recently I saw him on YouTube saying he thinks this is one of the best songs he ever wrote. It's a love song that's sung at weddings, perhaps love, but I think it really speaks to the kind of love we experience in beloved community and all the varieties and the different experiences that we have when we interact with each other in relationship. Perhaps love is like a resting place, a shelter from the storm. It exists to give you comfort. It is there to keep you warm. And in your times of trouble, when you are most alone, the memory of love will bring you home. Perhaps love is like a window, perhaps an open door. It invites you to come closer. It wants to show you more. And even if you lose yourself and don't know what to do, the memory of love will see you through. Oh, some say love is like a cloud, to some as strong as steel, for some a way of living, for some a way to feel. And some say love is holding on, and some say letting go. Some say love is everything, some say they don't know. Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of change, like a fire when it's cold outside, or thunder when it rains. If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be of you. Some say love is holding on, and some say letting go. Some say love is everything, some say they don't know. Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of change, like a fire when it's cold outside, or thunder when it rains. If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be of you.
Thank you, Meredith and Linda. Fountain Street Church is my spiritual home. I grew up in Sunfield. You don't know where that is. Nobody knows where it is. It's a small little town of 400 in mid-Michigan. I was a townie. I was one of the kids that didn't live on a farm. And all those people out there called us city folk, believe it or not. I was fortunate in my growing up to have many, many significant adults in my life. I forgot to say, I was raised Methodist. Methodist Youth Fellowship was important in my personal growth and development. My local MYF leader, Bruce DeLand, was a UAW union rep who helped me develop an accepting world view. Excuse me. I went to church camp every summer. I look forward to my week at camp because that was the one place I felt completely accepted. When I was a junior, I was president of the area MYF. When I was a senior, I was president of the regional MYF. For those 2 years, I not only went to camp in August, but in June, I had the good fortune of going to a leadership training camp for a week. I was a Christian. I participated in many altar calls. I was a believer in the Trinity. The summer I graduated from high school, our little Methodist church was assigned a new minister. Clint Galloway and I became close friends, and soon I found myself sitting in his home office on Saturday afternoons, listening to him talk to me about the ideas that he was going to deliver the next day in his sermon. I was on my way to MSU that fall. I knew I would find my way to Wesley Foundation, the Methodist campus ministry, because that's what good MYFers did. Wesley Foundation is where I felt at home while I was in East Lansing. Ernie Dunn was the director. I found a welcoming atmosphere and developed many new friends. Ernie left at the end of my freshman year. I was disappointed not to have gotten to know him better, but Keith Pohl and Ann Kaiser Stern replaced him. They had a significant influence on my maturing process. Keith drove around campus and picked a group of us up early every Wednesday morning for communion. And Jill is sitting there. She was part of that. Because campus food services were closed Sunday evenings, Wesley provided supper for students prior to the weekly program. I was exposed to many new ideas. In the group of 30 to 40 students, there were Gil and Sharon. They headed up the Peace Coordinating Council. There was Kurt, Ron, Rick, Judy, Wayne. They all became Methodist ministers. And there was David, a member of the Peace Coordinating Council and SDS. David went on to be a Republican member of Congress serving Michigan's 4th Congressional District and Ronald Reagan's director of Office of Management and Budget. When Reagan was asked about Stockman's involvement in SDS, he stated, "It was simply a youthful dalliance." It was a bit disheartening that the most radical of my friends decided to deny his work for social justice after he left college. Wesley gave me many opportunities to expand my worldview. 2 weekends in consecutive years at the Ecumenical Institute in Chicago gave me a new awareness of life in the inner city and a model for individuals living a life dedicated for the greater good. A trip to Milwaukee to participate in one of Father Grappe's civil rights marches for fair housing for the Inner Core, a neighborhood on Milwaukee's north side, gave me a desire to see justice in our society. Marching through white neighborhoods with brothers and sisters of color while the streets were lined by armed police generated feelings of fear I have never felt before. During college, I attended Central Methodist Church in Lansing. Frances Large, the senior minister's wife, taught the college Sunday school class. This class changed my thinking about religion. One Sunday morning, Mrs. Large focused on a Bible verse from Luke. "The kingdom of heaven is upon you." We discussed possible meetings. What I felt left with that day changed my way of thinking about heaven and hell. I now believe heaven and hell are made here on earth, and I can't know if there is an afterlife. I remained close to Mrs. Large the rest of her life. And then there was Cleveland. In 1967, at the beginning of my junior year, Ann announced a week-long, the first annual conference of the University Christian Movement. It was to be held in Cleveland. Since it was close enough for us to go, she and Keith decided that they would help us raise the money, so that they ended up sending a busload of MSU Wesley Foundation students to that conference. They wrote letters to our churches, and they raised all the money for us to go. This was indeed an eye-opener for the naive kid from Sunfield. Process 67 was to serve as a rallying point for Christians and others who shared the university Christian movement's concern for bringing about social change in the university and in society. The movement included Roman Catholic, Orthodox Christians, and other student organizations such as SDS and SNCC. Process 67 aspired to formulate and test a model of what university education should be. Hundreds of college students descended on Cleveland. 3 hotels were used to house the attendees. The Cleveland Plain Dealer's front page headline read, "Christians or a swarm of locusts?" They didn't like that we were there. We were sitting in, we were being very active in in sharing our beliefs. Cleveland was indeed a transformative experience. I chose an ecumenical track where we focused on other religions. A priest led my small group. Acknowledging and accepting each other's faiths was significant for me. At the end of the week, we shared communion led by our Catholic priest. Jill was with me. We were together a lot, but we were both involved in our own learning tracks. However, it was after we returned from Cleveland to campus that we became a couple. We were married in June of 1969 by Clint in Jill's hometown church. In the fall, we got jobs in Lowell and Saranac. We were living in Lowell. We needed to decide on a church. Where would we go to church? We could have gone to the local Methodist church. However, Clint was at Aldersgate United Methodist Church here in Grand Rapids. And since I had worked with Clint in that church the summer before, we decided to start attending Aldersgate. It was at Aldersgate that I first became aware of Fountain Street Church. Clint was involved with a group of Grand Rapids ministers for problem pregnancy counseling. It was illegal at the time to have an abortion in Michigan. Clint spoke often of Duncan's leadership of that group. I learned through another teacher at my school that one of our students had an unwanted pregnancy. I put the teacher in touch with Clint, who referred the young woman to a person at Fountain Street. My student went to Chicago, had a safe abortion, paid for by the Choice Fund. Clint was transferred from Aldersgate. We continued to go for a few months, but it just really wasn't working. So in a conversation with Clint one day, he suggested we come to Fountain Street. In December of 1974, it was Advent. We walked into Fountain Street Church. We made our way to the second floor where Jackie McCarty warmly took our 18-month-old son for childcare during the service. Entering the sanctuary, having the special bulletin cover, seeing the banners and the greens, the lighting of the Advent candle while the choir sang, it was inspirational. As a child, Christmas was magical to me. We had very little, but my parents always made Christmas special. from the sparkle of the tinsel, the balls, the lights, and to the wrapped gifts under the tree, I was always mesmerized. Our family traditions made this an annual magic morning for me. I have found the traditions of Advent at Fountain Street Church very meaningful. The Christmas Eve service, beginning with the choir singing, caroling as they marched along the balcony and down into the sanctuary. The faith, hope, love, and joy banners hanging from the front of the church. The singing of carols and the singing of Silent Night in the darkened room, gradually illuminated candle by candle. Fountain Street Church is my spiritual home. Our son Chad went through character school. As a 2-year-old, he was greeted by John Starr every Sunday morning in the Zoo for Two's room. John was always sitting there in a big rocking chair waiting for the kids to come, and the kids would climb up on his lap and he would warmly greet them. Chad loved the Yellow Submarine. As a kindergartner, he played on it every Sunday. In high school, he was a volunteer in the kindergarten class, and he was so pleased to see other children being able to have the joy that he did when he was a kindergartner. Tower Club and Fountain Club were significant to him. To have Chad find meaning and worth in these youth groups warmed my heart. It reminded me of my own MYF experiences. Jill and I were volunteers for Tower Club for several years. We were involved in Tower Club's sex education program that was taught every other year. We had done this a couple of times by the time Chad was in class. A unique component of the program was that parents met the hour before the kids had the class in order to have an understanding of what the kids were going to be learning during their class. This was all in hope that it would spur discussion between parents and kids. Well, after the first class Chad had participated in, he was not in either of our groups. I asked him on the way home if he had any questions. His response was, "No, I don't. I've heard all of this twice before." He was referring to Jill and I discussing the class while he was sitting in the back seat and much younger. Fountain Club for Chad was an accepting place. Because he lived in Lowell, he was lovingly called the farmer. The kids gave him a toy tractor one year. It was crazy. He found community there. His participation also developed his leadership skills as he was president of Fountain Club when he was a senior. When I walk into this building, I feel at peace. It matters not if I enter the social hall, Keeler Lounge, the chapel, or sanctuary. This place, with these people, you, is where I belong. I'm not sure when it happened, but eventually I gave up the idea of the triune God. I was walking with a friend one day. We were talking about religion. I said to him that I wasn't a Christian anymore. He was shocked and recounted to me, "But you do good things and you care about people." And I said, "But you don't have to be a Christian to do that." I guess I have become a Unitarian, believing in one God or one greater power. Sure, I hold many Christian values dear, but a person does not need to be a Christian to do that. I loved walking into the sanctuary. It is a moving experience to be in awe of the surroundings, the stained glass windows, the architectural details, the mosaic, the grandeur of the space. The architecture comes together to set a mood for worship and meditation. The organ is incredible. It is a real treasure to our congregation to have it played during our services. Together with the choir, the tone is set for a meaningful experience. Because this is my 50th year at Fountain Street, I have had the good fortune to have heard sermons from Duncan Littlefair, David Rankin, Fred Wooden, Mariella Perez-Simons, and Christopher Rowe. Inspiring sermons have challenged me to live a better life. Focus on justice and equity in my relationships and have a better understanding of who I am and what I need to do to make this a better world. I have always found meaning in the way Duncan started all of his services, and so I leave you with these words. This is a day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice in it and be glad, and let us count our many blessings. Let us be grateful for the capacity to see, feel, hear, and understand. Let us be grateful for the incredible gift of life. Let us be especially grateful for the ties of love that bind us together, giving dignity, meaning, worth, and joy to all our days. Thank you.
Let's take a few minutes, perhaps, to ponder on our own journeys, the things that brought us here, and how we feel when we come in these doors. May we understand a common language, even when the words are foreign. When we hear people speak about their view of God, may we hear our own in their words so that we understand one another, so that we embrace one another, so that we recognize our common humanity. May we always carry these things in our hearts, remembering that everything that is human belongs to us. Blessed be. Offering. You know what that means. Half of it stays here, half of it goes to the community. Please be generous.
Boy, thank you, Chris. That took me down a memory lane trip, because MYF, that was my upbringing at a little Methodist church in Marne. And it's brought me, all my life has brought me now to where this song I'm going to sing now, I think, comes closest to kind of expressing what my experience of the divine is.
Let's see, I'm looking at my beat. If you have a story to tell our new pastor, Reverend Dannison, please make an appointment with him. He would love to hear from you. He wants to get as much history and the stories of how we all came to be Fountain Street Church. There is information about how to reach him in the beat. Let's see. Not a whole lot I need to tell you about. You all know about the parking because you made it here, obviously.
Lion is open.
Lion is open, yes. Lion's been open for a while. It is still two-way from Ransom to Division, and so is Fountain. Yeah, so there are a couple of things from Together West Michigan, and Meredith is going to tell us about that.
So yesterday, Jill Cunningham and Claudia Bajema and I attended the assembly that we had for Together West Michigan. Very inspiring. We talked about, heard a lot about the difference between democracy as a noun and democracy as a verb. So Together West Michigan is very much about verb, right? Action in the community. So there are some really important events coming up. There's flyers out on the back of the table there that tell a little bit more about them. Some, and I've forgotten the names of them, but there are 3 events that we can attend this month. Claudia, help me. You remember? I didn't bring my notes up in front of me. It's back there. There's a QR code to link you to all of them. And very important is on September 28th, there's going to be a candidate accountability session. We need to be present at this session. We need as many people packing that place, to be determined where that's going to be, to hold our candidates accountable for what we think they should be doing as they serve us. So pick up the information if you're interested. You can talk to me, you can talk to Claudia, and you'll be hearing more information about this in the beat.
And we're still trying to get people to vote the early childhood program on
30 by 5.
Right, on August 6th. So remember that. Even if you don't fill out a card for Together West Michigan, don't forget the issue. We are going to sing Let It Be a Dance, hymn number 311, one of my favorites. May we dance our way into this beautiful day, rejoicing in one another's company, in the time we've spent here together, and taking all of that joy out into the world that so sorely needs it. Blessed be.